Today we're going to talk about loops. So first I want to give some motivation. Let's say that we have this variable x that's set to the word hello, and the assignment is print every letter from hello, but only one letter per line. Well, using what we've learned so far, we know we can access an individual character from a string by using the square brackets, just like we would access an element from a list. So this will give us the H, and we're just going to print that to the screen, then E, L, L, O. So we've got 5 different print statements because there's 5 different letters in hello, and we save this and run it, and it prints hello to the screen. Well, that's all well and good until I change the word to something like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, then one print line per letter is no longer that attractive. So let's see what else we could do. Well, there is something in Python called for loops, and they work really well with an item like a list or a tuple we're going to learn about later, or strings, something that has different items you can pull out of it. So I'm going to start through the for loop and say I want to keep track of every individual letter in a variable called letter, and these are letters in the variable x. So what that does is you're going to go through possibly multiple times when you have a for loop. Everything else we've learned, we start the execution at the top of the program, and then we just go to the bottom, and every line only runs once. But with this for loop, you have the ability to run certain lines of code more than once. Anything in the for loop will keep running as long as this right here wants us to keep going through. And right here, if I run this, it's going to print the same hello to the screen, but instead of doing that with 5 print statements, I have one single print statement, and it's in a for loop that's going through 5 times. So execution goes from the bottom of the for loop back up to the top, and it keeps going until we've printed every different character. So I'm going to change this to hello there class just to show you guys that you can easily change that variable x and it's still going to work. So it still only takes one print statement, and we're going through and printing every character in hello there class. And this cool new trick will also work when we have a list of numbers. So let me type in a few random numbers. And then now the variable letter doesn't make as much sense. So I'm going to use the variable num. So that's describing what's inside of that variable. And this time it'll go through the list one item at a time. The first time through the list, num will be set to 2. We'll print 2. The next time through the for loop, num set to 3. The next time through the for loop, 5. And then 10. So we go ahead and run module. And we have 2 and 3 and 5 and 10. And not only that, but let's say you want a running total of how much those all add up to. So if I had another variable sum that keeps track of the sum of all the numbers I've seen so far, each time through the list I could say that the new sum is the old sum plus whatever number I've most recently read. So now at the end of this, I'm going to run it. I don't have a print statement to print out my sum variable, but I can double check, and the sum is 20. And we could put that statement down here in the code to print the sum. And I could say the sum is equal to sum. And let's run that again. And this will even work if I change the contents of this list. And we'll just go through the loop a few more times, add in a few more numbers, and then we'll have our new sum. Pretty awesome, right? All right, well, what if I want to print all the numbers between 1 and 10? I don't need that sum variable anymore, so I'll erase that. And if I want to print 1 to 10, one option would be to type in all the numbers from 1 and 10. But I'm already getting tired of that option because there's 10 numbers to type, and I feel like there's a more efficient way to do that. But I can run this, and I can see that yes, indeed, it will print all the numbers from 1 to 10, one number per line. So I said there's probably a more efficient way to do that, so let's learn that now, because if I'm printing numbers from 1 to 1,000, I do not want to type out 1,000 different numbers. What can I do instead? I can use the range command in Python. So I'm going to pause right there and let the tooltip tell me how to use it. One option is to type in a single number in the parentheses. parentheses. I'm going to type in 10 because I wanted to go from 1 to 10, and I'm going to see if this works. It's not going to, but it's going to be close. I'm going to run this, and we'll find out that if you only provide the value to stop on, it stops before it prints the 10. And also the default starting value is 0. So first, if I wanted to go all the way to 10, I could put in 11 there, and then if it stops before 11, that means it's stopping at 10. But how do I get it to start at 1 instead of starting at 0? Well, when I was typing in the range command, there was another way to call range: start and then stop, and then the square brackets means it's even optional. If you're using this version of the command, you could put an optional step value. So if I want to start at 1 and I want to stop at 10, I'm going to go a little bit beyond 10 so that it prints 10 and stops when it gets to 11. Now I'm going to save and run, and I've got from 1 to 10. Pretty cool. And so if my assignment was to print 1 to 1,000, that wouldn't be that hard to do. I can just change that stop number, and I'm now going from 1 to 1,000. I'm going to print quite a lot of numbers on the screen. Well, what if I just want the odd numbers instead of odd and even numbers? Well, then I would use the version, I'm going to go back to 10 because 1,000 is a long time. I'm going to stop when I get to 10. Well, 10's even. I'll stop before I get to 11, and I want to count by 2. So I am passing in the step, and I don't think I have the patience to let this keep going. So if you type in Control-C, it's going to kill any loop, because sometimes you'll get a loop that just won't stop or not in a timely manner. So Control-C will stop that. So now I'm saying I want to start at 1, I want to stop before I get to 11, and I want to count by 2. So the first time through the loop, it's going to print a 1. Then it'll add 2, and we've got 3. The next time through the loop, it'll add 2. It's got 5, and then 7, and then 9. And we end up going through 5 times through that loop.